Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're taking a close look at a company that's been making waves, grabbing headlines, really stirring things up in the biotech world, and that is Kairos Pharma, ticker symbol KAPA. Their stock's been on a wild ride lately.
It has.
With a surge, get this, of over 119%.
Wow.
So what's behind this incredible momentum? Is it a rocket to riches? Or are we looking at a potential crash landing? We've done some digging, looking into market trends, expert opinions, company news, trying to uncover those clues to help you navigate this very exciting opportunity.
I think that's a great approach. And what's really interesting is that KCAPA's performance, it's like a piece of a larger puzzle.
Okay.
To really understand their story, we got to look at the bigger market picture.
All right, so let's set the scene here. What's the market backdrop against which KKPA is making these, quite frankly, dramatic moves?
Yeah, well, we're seeing some interesting dynamics, I would say, at play. The Federal Reserve, they're signaling caution with interest rates, predicting just 2 cuts for the whole year.
Okay.
Now, this creates uncertainty for sectors that are sensitive to interest rate changes.
And what about the overall performance of the market? We all remember there was that dip in December, but looking back, was 2024 a good year for investors?
It was a decent year, I'd say. Overall, the S&P 500, other major indexes, they held their own. But what really stands out, I think, is the dominance of those magnificent 7 tech giants.
Apple, Microsoft, Amazon.
Exactly.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, and their stellar performance, I think, suggests continued confidence in, these big-name growth companies.
So we've got this backdrop of a somewhat cautious market, yet with strong confidence in those big established tech companies. How do you think this might impact a smaller, less established biotech player like KAPA? Just one that isn't profitable yet.
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it?
Right.
And, while those tech giants, they might be enjoying a smoother ride, a company like KAPA, they're much more dependent on specific news and developments, particularly related to their cancer treatment trials. So their fate is much more closely tied to the success of those trials than it is with, those broad market swings.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's zero in on the clue that's really gotten everyone's attention, I think. And that is KTPA's recent price surge.
Absolutely.
Over 24% in a really short period.
Yeah.
Closing at about $2.05.
Yeah.
After starting at $1.36.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So what's driving this? Is this just hype, or is there something more substantial driving investor interest?
Well, I think the buzz is definitely centered around some positive news coming out of KAPA's cancer treatment trials. It's early days, but the potential of these therapies, it's really attracting investors who are willing to kind of bet on the company's future. And we have to remember that KAPA, they're not actually turning a profit yet. So this surge is all about potential.
It's almost like investors are saying, we see the potential, we're willing to bet on it.
Yeah.
And the increased trading volume seems to support that.
Exactly. The sheer volume of shares changing hands.
Yeah.
It really indicates that investors are actively taking positions. They're not just watching from the sidelines. They're making moves based on what they believe in, KAPA's future.
So for you listening right now, what stands out as the most intriguing aspect of KAPA's recent price action? Is the speed of the surge, the connection to those trial results, something else entirely, just something to think about?
Yeah.
Now, let's dive into those technical signals, the clues hidden within the charts that can help us get some insight into a stock's future direction. And I got to say, the charts for KAPA, they're painting a pretty interesting picture.
They are. KAPA has been experiencing some really wild swings. I mean, even within a single day.
Yeah.
Just look at January 13th. The range was $1.84 to $2.84.
Wow, that's a big swing.
It is. This kind of volatility, it's a hallmark of a stock that's attracting a lot of speculative interest.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
But amidst all that volatility, there are also signs that KAPA might actually be undervalued.
You're right. Both the RSI, that's the relative strength index, and the stochastic oscillator, they're both flashing those oversold signals.
Okay, hold on a second. For those of us who don't spend all day, glued to the charts, Can you break down what those signals actually mean?
Sure. Essentially, they're hinting that the stock might have dropped in price more than its underlying value would justify.
Uh-huh.
Think of it like a sale at your favorite store. The product's still great,
Yeah.
but the price has been marked down, temporarily. So these signals, they suggest that KAPA could be a buying opportunity for those investors who believe in the company's long-term prospects.
Interesting. So we have these oversold signals hinting at a potential bargain. Yeah. But then we look at the moving averages.
Right.
Those lines on the chart that track the stock's price trends over time, and they're all pointing downwards, which suggests a recent downtrend.
Precisely. And, that creates an interesting puzzle for investors to solve.
Yeah.
Are those moving averages signaling that the downward trend is going to continue?
Mm-hmm.
Or do the oversold signals point to a potential rebound?
It's almost like the stock is at a crossroads.
It is.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Knowing all this, would you be tempted to jump in and buy KAPA? What factors would be weighing on your mind? We'd love to know what you think.
It's interesting you mentioned the financial realities, because one crucial aspect to consider is how KAPA is actually funding their operations.
Right.
Especially given these ambitious trials for ENV 105.
Yeah, because even though the focus is on developing this,
Correct.
groundbreaking treatment, they still got bills to pay.
Exactly. And biotech companies, particularly those that are in this pre-revenue stage, like KAPA, they often rely quite heavily on external funding.
Okay.
So a key metric to watch here is their burn rate.
Burn rate?
How quickly are they going through those cash reserves?
So it's not just how much they have, but how long it's going to last.
Exactly.
Given their spending.
Precisely. And that's where understanding their sources of funding becomes so crucial.
Okay.
Are they relying on venture capital investments, strategic partnerships, debt financing? Each of those come with their own implications.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if they're burning through cash too quickly and they don't have a clear plan for replenishing those coffers, that's a red flag.
It's a big warning sign for investors.
Absolutely. So digging into KAPA's financial statements and understanding your funding strategy, that's a critical part of our, investigation here.
Due diligence.
Now, another key piece of this puzzle to think about is the competitive landscape.
Yeah.
KAPA is not alone in this race.
Yeah.
To develop, new innovative cancer treatments.
It's a crowded field.
It is.
So it's not just about if KAPA's treatment works, but how it stacks up against the competition.
Exactly. Investors need to ask, does KAPA have a unique edge? What are the other companies working on similar therapies?
Right.
And how do their approaches compare?
Yeah, it's like a horse race, right?
Yeah.
With multiple contenders all vying for the lead.
Absolutely.
Understanding this landscape can give us a sense of where KAPA fits in and, what their chances are.
Precisely. For example, are there other companies further along in the trial process or therapies that have shown maybe more promising results?
Okay.
These are all questions that investors need to think about.
It's about understanding the context, the relative strengths and weaknesses, not just focusing on KAPA in isolation.
Right.
And that brings us to another critical aspect of our investigation. The people leading the charge. KAPA's management team.
Oh, absolutely. In the complex world of biotech, a strong and experienced leadership team can make all the difference.
Yeah.
These are the folks responsible for steering the ship, making the big decisions, navigating those sometimes turbulent waters of drug development.
So what should investors be looking for when they're evaluating KAPA's management team? What are the hallmarks of a leadership team that inspires confidence?
I think first and foremost, you want to see a team with a proven track record in the biotech industry. Ideally, they've successfully brought other drugs to market, navigated the regulatory maze, and generated, strong returns for investors.
They're checking their resumes for those biotech success stories.
Exactly, exactly. But it's not just about past achievements, You also want a team that's forward-thinking, innovative, and adaptable because the landscape's constantly changing.
Yeah, it's a fast-moving field.
So we need leaders who are on top of the latest trends, willing to embrace new technologies, make strategic pivots when necessary.
Visionaries, but also realists.
Yes.
Passionate about the mission.
Yes.
But also grounded in the financial realities of running a business.
Absolutely.
Especially in a high-stakes industry like biotech.
It's about finding that balance between ambition, that scientific ambition, and business acumen.
So for anyone listening who is serious about investing in KAPA, do your homework on that management team.
Yes, do your homework.
Read interviews, watch presentations, dig into their backgrounds.
Do they inspire confidence?
Yeah. Do you trust them to lead KAPA to success?
That's the question.
Speaking of trust, another key element to consider is KAPA's intellectual property.
Yes.
In the world of biotech, protecting those innovative ideas is paramount.
It is. IP is the lifeblood of any biotech company. It's what protects their inventions, gives them that competitive edge, and ultimately allows them to generate revenue from all that hard work.
So when we talk about KAPA's IP, we're talking about patents, trademarks, trade secrets, all those legal tools that safeguard their discoveries.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these protections are especially crucial in the pharmaceutical field, where the research and development costs are astronomical.
It's expensive.
It is. Without robust IP protection, competitors could just copy them, erode those profits.
So it's like building a fortress around their inventions.
That's a great analogy.
Making sure their discoveries are protected.
And investors need to assess how strong those fortifications are. What patents do they hold? How strong are they? And how long will they last?
Because if those patents are weak or they expire soon, it could leave them vulnerable and impact their revenue.
Exactly. So anyone considering investing, dig into their intellectual property portfolio. Are there any potential challenges? Are other companies working on similar things that might infringe on KAPA's patents?
It's all about due diligence.
It is.
Understanding not just what they've discovered, but how well they're protecting it. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the story KAPA is telling.
Okay.
The narrative that's, attracting those investors, fueling that stock price.
You're touching on a really fascinating aspect of investing, the power of narrative. Beyond the numbers, beyond the science, investors are drawn to these companies with compelling stories.
So what's the story that KAPA is telling? What's the narrative that's capturing those imaginations?
I think it's a combination of factors.
Okay.
Firstly, there's this hope that KAPA's treatments could revolutionize cancer care. They're targeting some of the most challenging forms of cancer.
Yeah.
And their approach offers hope for patients who may have run out of options.
It's that classic David versus Goliath story, right?
Yeah.
The small biotech company taking on a formidable foe.
Absolutely. And that resonates with investors who have maybe been personally touched by cancer or who just, believe in supporting companies that are trying to make a real difference.
Right. But it's not just altruism.
Right.
There's also the potential for financial returns if KAPA's treatments are successful.
Oh, absolutely. The market for cancer treatments is vast. And if they can deliver, the rewards could be huge.
So it's a story that appeals to both the heart and the wallet.
Yeah, it does.
Combining that hope for medical breakthroughs with the potential for financial gain.
Right.
But as we know, not every story has a happy ending.
That's true.
There are always risks involved, and investors got to be aware of those potential pitfalls.
That brings us to a crucial aspect of biotech, the regulatory landscape.
Okay.
It's not enough to develop a promising treatment.
Right.
They also have to navigate this complex web of regulations and convince the FDA that it's safe and effective.
That's a high bar.
It is. The FDA sets a very high bar. KAPA has to conduct these rigorous clinical trials, gather tons of data, demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt that their treatments benefit patients without, unacceptable risks.
It's a long process.
It is. It's a lengthy process.
It's like running an obstacle course.
It is.
With scientists, regulators, lawyers, all while carrying the hopes and dreams of patients and investors.
That's a great analogy. And just like in an obstacle course, there are many hurdles where they could stumble.
Right.
Unexpected side effects. Trial results could be disappointing.
Right.
The FDA could raise concerns.
So investors need to be aware of these roadblocks. Ask themselves, what stage are they in?
Yeah.
What are those key milestones?
What are the chances they might stumble?
Understanding those regulatory risks is a key part of evaluating any biotech company.
Especially one like KAPA that's still in the early stages.
Right, exactly. Now, assuming they can clear all those regulatory hurdles, another critical element for KPA's success is going to be their ability to actually, manufacture and distribute those treatments on a large scale.
Absolutely. It's not enough to have a great product just on paper. They've got to be able to produce it consistently, efficiently, at a scale that meets that demand.
Right.
And that's no small feat in the pharmaceutical world.
We're talking factories, supply chains, logistics.
Whole 9 yards.
All those things got to work together.
They do.
To get those treatments from the lab to the patients.
And it all has to be done while meeting those strict quality standards and regulations.
Right.
Any hiccups can lead to delays, shortages, even jeopardize patient safety.
So it's like building a well-oiled machine.
It is.
All those parts working in sync to deliver that final product.
Right.
Investors need to assess whether KAPA's built a reliable system that can handle all that complexity.
Precisely. For example, do they have their own production facilities? Are they relying on third parties? What about their distribution network? These are all crucial questions to explore.
Okay, so let's imagine they've developed this breakthrough treatment.
Okay.
They secured FDA approval. They have a solid manufacturing and distribution system.
Yeah.
What's the next hurdle?
Marketing and sales.
Ah, of course.
Even the best treatment won't succeed if doctors and patients don't know about it.
Right.
KAPA needs a strategy to get the word out. Persuade healthcare providers to prescribe it.
It's not just developing a great product, it's about communication.
It is.
Building relationships, attending conferences, running those advertising campaigns.
Absolutely. All those things aimed at building awareness and driving sales.
And in the pharmaceutical industry, marketing is highly specialized. It's also very regulated.
It is.
They need to present the scientific evidence, highlight those trial results, and articulate the benefits, all while adhering to strict guidelines and ethics.
Yeah, it's a tightrope walk.
So investors need to assess KAPA's marketing and sales capabilities. Do they have a strong message? Are they reaching the right audience? Do they have a good sales team?
Right. Because even with a groundbreaking treatment, poor marketing can really hinder their success.
So true.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of success, let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
Consider the global landscape for cancer treatments. KAPA isn't operating in a vacuum.
They are not.
They're competing with companies all over the world.
It's a global fight.
Exactly.
Investors need to understand those international market dynamics. Are there companies in Europe, Asia, working on similar treatments? How do KAPA's therapies compare?
It's like a global chess game, right?
Yeah.
Everyone making strategic moves.
Absolutely.
KAPA needs to be ready to compete on that world stage.
They do. And that means navigating different regulatory landscapes, cultural nuances, healthcare systems.
Right. It adds another layer of complexity.
So investors got to assess if KAPA has that global vision, the resources, the adaptability.
Right, to succeed in that arena.
Speaking of looking ahead, another key aspect is KAPA's research and development pipeline.
Their future prospects.
Exactly. Investors want to see a robust pipeline, not just reliance on a single product.
Absolutely. It's about diversification, ensuring long-term viability.
So what's in KAPA's pipeline? What new treatments, what diseases, what approaches are they exploring?
All critical questions, because a robust pipeline indicates they're not just a one-hit wonder.
Right.
It suggests they're committed to innovation, exploring multiple avenues of research, building a portfolio of future revenue streams.
It's like planting a garden, right?
It is.
With a variety of seeds, hoping some will blossom.
Investors need to assess the diversity and quality of that garden.
Okay, so we've examined their financials, their management, the science, the competition, their IP, their marketing.
Their global reach, their pipeline.
It's been a journey.
It has. What's our overall assessment?
The million-dollar question, right?
Yeah. Is this a company worth investing in?
And the answer, as with most things in investing, it depends.
The classic, it depends.
But in all seriousness, what are the key factors that will determine their success?
Yeah, what are those key things to weigh when making a decision?
Well, as we've discussed, there's so many moving parts. Their scientific progress, their financial health, the strength of their leadership, the competitive landscape, the regulatory hurdles, manufacturing, marketing, global ambitions, R&D pipeline.
Right. It's complex.
It's a complex web of interconnected factors.
Like a giant puzzle.
It is.
And we've been looking at each piece.
Trying to see how it all fits together.
Now we need to step back.
Look at the big picture.
Does it inspire confidence, or are there too many missing pieces?
Ultimately, it's up to each investor to make that judgment call.
So for our listeners who are intrigued by KAPA and considering adding it to their portfolios.
Yeah.
What's a sensible approach to take?
First and foremost, don't rush into anything.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered a lot, but this is just the starting point.
Yeah.
Do your research.
Read those company filings.
Follow industry news. Consult with advisors.
Don't just take our word for it.
Develop your own assessment
Mm-hmm.
based on a thorough understanding.
Of the business, the financials, the risks.
And if you decide to invest, start small.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Especially with a company like KAPA in a volatile sector.
Diversify. Spread that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, biotech is a long game.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and discipline are key.
Be prepared for ups and downs.
Yeah, don't panic if that stock price swings wildly.
Because it probably will.
It likely will. Now, let's have some fun.
Okay.
Put on our speculative hats.
All right.
Imagine we have a crystal ball
Okay.
that can show us the future of KAPA.
I love this game.
Let's start with a positive scenario.
All right. Positive scenario.
Everything goes right.
Okay.
Clinical trials are a huge success.
Mm.
Treatments get FDA approval.
Mm.
They're adopted rapidly by doctors and patients worldwide.
Okay.
Manufacturing, distribution, flawless
Mhm.
marketing campaigns, right on point.
Okay.
Competitors are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
KAPA becomes the leader.
All right. So in this dream scenario,
Yeah.
stock price skyrockets.
Early investors celebrate.
Mm.
KAPA becomes the shining example.
Of biotech success.
Transforming lives.
It's a story of innovation, perseverance, triumph.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
Our crystal ball can show us other outcomes too.
Right. What if things don't go according to plan?
That reality check.
Yeah.
Imagine KAPA encounters some roadblocks.
Okay.
Clinical trials hit a snag.
Mm-hmm.
Side effects emerge, raising concerns.
Mm-hmm.
FDA rejects their application.
Okay.
Competitors develop better treatments.
They capture the market.
Stock price plummets.
Investors face losses.
And the company struggles.
It's a reminder that the path in biotech is rarely smooth.
It's not.
Investing in this industry comes with those inherent risks.
Absolutely, but speculating about the future is just part of the process.
Right.
Let's bring it back to the present.
Okay.
Talk about how investors can approach KAPA in a practical, informed way.
Okay, great point. All this analysis and speculation needs to be translated into actions.
It does.
So for those listeners intrigued by KAPA, what's a sensible approach? How do they move from analysis to action?
Remember, investing is personal.
Mm-hmm.
What works for one might not for another.
Sure.
So before making any decisions, take some time to reflect.
On their goals.
Their financial goals, risk tolerance.
Investment philosophy.
Are they comfortable with volatility? Long-term or short-term investor?
Understanding your investing style is crucial.
It is. Once you have that understanding, then delve deeper.
Right, go beyond the headline.
Read those financial statements, scrutinize the data,
Understand the landscape.
assess that management team, that IP.
Don't be afraid to ask tough questions.
No, dig deeper.
Talk to advisors.
Read industry analyses.
Seek out different perspectives.
Knowledge is power.
It is, especially in investing.
For listeners, put on those investor hats. Do your homework.
The more you learn about KAPA,
Mm-hmm.
the better equipped you'll be.
To make that informed decision.
That aligns with your goals.
And remember, investing isn't just about picking winners and losers.
Right.
It's about participating in the future, supporting innovation.
And potentially making a difference.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to highlight one more thing about KAPA.
Okay.
Their commitment to corporate social responsibility.
Oh, yeah, we haven't touched on that.
It's increasingly important to investors these days.
It seems KAPA's involved in patient advocacy, supporting research foundations, implementing sustainable practices,
Going beyond just profits.
trying to make a positive impact.
It's encouraging. This commitment to ESG, environmental social governance,
Yeah.
this is something that investors, especially younger generations, are really prioritizing.
So for listeners who are interested in aligning their investments with their values, KAPA is worth checking out.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that investing isn't just about making money.
It's about supporting companies making a difference.
We've covered a lot of ground today, examining KAPA from all angles.
We have.
Exploring the science, the financials, the management, the competition, the narrative, the reach, the pipeline, even their commitment to social responsibility.
Yeah, it's been a thorough investigation.
We've provided you with the insights to make your own decisions. Remember, the journey is a marathon, not a sprint.
Do your research.
Stay informed.
Ask questions.
That's what we're about here in Investing Talk Podcast.
We're your guides on this adventure.
Now, before we go, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes. Drop us a comment with your thoughts on KAPA.
Do you think they're on the path to success? Are the risks too great? What stood out to you?
And if you have any questions about KAPA or any other company or trend, let us know.
We're always looking for new ideas.
We love hearing from our listeners.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe
to Investing Talk Podcast.
Share it with your friends,
family, fellow investors.
Until next time, happy investing.
We've walked you through KAPA, their science, financials, management, competition, and the whole story.
We have. It's a lot to digest.
It is. So now it's your turn.
Yeah, make those informed decisions.
And as always, we're here with you on that investment journey.
Absolutely.
So keep listening to Investing Talk Podcast for more analysis, insights, and these thought-provoking discussions
about the companies and trends that really matter,
shaping the world of finance.
And remember, it's not just about making money.
It's about being part of the future,
supporting innovation,
making a difference.
Absolutely.
All right, listeners, that's a wrap for today.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this look at KAPA.
We appreciate you tuning in.
Hope you found it valuable.
We did our best.
And we hope you'll join us again for the next episode.
Absolutely.
Until then, happy investing.
Happy investing.
Don't forget to subscribe to Investing Talk Podcast.
Share this episode
with your friends, family, fellow investors.
And leave a comment below.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts on KAPA or any other company you'd like us to cover.
We love hearing from you.
We really do.
Until next time.
Take care.